So for today, it's planned that we work with Sinatra. After you use to bundler, Sinatra is a core component of this week. And a lot of this is introduction to Sinatra, so hopefully you won't feel too overwhelmed. Let's take a look at what we got in the past. We did something like we built a to-do app. So we did something like, we built a list, and then we call Ruby, to-do.rb, and then we have our program. But everything is done in the terminal here. Right? The terminal get the input by the gets method. So you get the input from the user, and then you do gets chomp. So for example, item is gets, for example, you say what's a new item to do, right? And then name is gets.chomp, and then you say buy milk, and then say, oh, okay, I'm adding the buy milk task. Okay, now, and we know that we've been reading the files from the markdown file like this. So with the introduction of Sinatra, this is what I do. I create a new project. So for lab 2, this time I created lab 2-1 folder. So when you work on lab 2, feel free to, in this case, you can use a lab 2-1 folder because we're dealing with quite a few files. I think this -1 is enough. But if you want to separate, you can do ABC. So the idea here is that you see Sinatra is the only gem I need, and then you run bundle install. And after bundle install, if you're curious, you see that Sinatra requires a few gems. Okay? And with Sinatra, we no longer do something like Ruby to do.rb and then enter the code, enter the input here. We use to make it sound a little different. We call this a web application. So this is an app. So we call it like Ruby app.rb. And I have an error. And sometimes you guys run into this. So this is the fastest way to kill it. Kill any Ruby process. pkill Ruby. And some other people may have to go and find, oh, what process is occupying this port 4567. That's the fastest way. Ruby app.rb. The biggest difference that you see, I run this and the program seems to just stay there. And this is different from your to-do app. Your to-do app, you used to have something like this. Loop do, and then something to do like command is get.chomp, and then you check case command. If the command is exit, then break out of the program. If it's add something, right, then you add that. Okay? What do you want to add? Delete. So remember that loop is user interface is all loop. Now here's it's almost like a loop for you. It's as simple as this. Sinatra provide you a get and then the path of the URL for you. So we start with hello world, and if I run this, I go to local host, so I'm going to put it here, and I refresh it, you get hello world. But what we want is, we want to display the to-do task. Okay? To display that, then I start to use something similar to the to-do app, the list. And I'm building a simpler list. This list, read from the file directly. So let's look at this guy, list.new. You can just get the file name and split that. So that seems straightforward. If I just cancel this and I show you my simple list. Look, require relative list. I can test the list right away. Okay, so let's say my list is list.new. If I enter list.new here, Louis, what do you think will happen? Does it work or does it crash? In here, it say it needs one argument, but if I don't give it any argument, it will use to-do.md. And then if I do list.new, it will use to-do.md. Then here just say the file will read file name, which is the to-do.md file, and then split them into lines. So probably work okay. As you can see, my list, I have a lines attribute, and this is already split into different tasks. Alright, if you just do the standard thing like puts line, this is how you display to the command line. What if I can display this to the browser? And I only do list.lines. So in my app, I just say, hey, I have a list.new. Again, when you do list.new, it's the same as giving it the default argument. And then now I have list.lines, but wait, right? It's an array. Okay? How do you get an array like this, list.line? You can print in the command line like this, but if you do a list.lines array, it looks like that. It looks ugly, right? If you want to remember the array of string, you can do join. Then that's one single string, and of course, if you print out that single string, this underscore means the guy above, and it's still like that. So imagine I join, okay? I join them by some characters, and now I have a string. So in a get block here, I need to make sure the last line is a string. When the last line is a string, then when I run Sinatra, let's see what we get. Aha! You see it? And this is the important thing to know. You can control click, view page source, and this is what you just printed to the screen. Alright, the browser is displaying this text. Note, it's not displaying this to-do.md, it's displaying what we're printing out here, the string we return. It does look very similar, right? But our goal is to not make it look similar. Our goal is to make it look pretty with HTML and CSS. So with that, you guys, those who have time, will have to start reading. The prerequisite we ask is reading, but like go and take the, it's really simple. You can skip anything that you don't understand. Just create an account on Codecademy, and there's some explanation. What is H1 as a header? What is a div? Who knows how to break a line into another line? Do you guys know? BR. All right. So this is a BR thing. And this website is also wonderful for you guys to try, because w3schools.com, you just notice how I search for that? HTML BR, HTML div, HTML H1. Don't worry, right? At the very least, this week you're going to learn a ton of this stuff, and there's no difficult logic. It's all this how things look. So BR, and it's just this. There's no need for slash or anything. You may read in different places. And this is called break, right? The line break. This text contains a line break. When you have this text, it will print over 2 lines. Try it yourself. This is the beautiful part. As you can see, it will be like this. To break line in the text, you use BR. So as you can see, I can have another one, and I click run, another one. But if I want them to be on 2 lines, note, if I do this, it's still on 1 line. Check it out, right? Because all the spaces, more than 2 spaces on HTML, they just get, condensed into 1. So to really make sure that I have a new line, I do that. Okay. So what if I try to do the same thing over here? It's a text file, remember? And remember, it looks like this, dot line, and then we join them. So what I'm going to do is, instead of this /n, it only works in terminal. So I use BR, right? So then I will try to, every time you make changes to the app.rb file, you need to restart, right? Control C to interrupt the program. All right, and then the code will look like this. This is getting more like your HTML. Once again, go here and view source, right? So in this source, if you're really curious, you can copy this and go it into the try it editor, and then you put it inside the body part like this. Click run. It looks nice. So I will refresh this browser, and you see it works like this. However, that's only BR. We know that it's when you this is up to your own reading. You need to do a little bit more than that. If you look at the try it editor, they always start the document with HTML and body. Right? At the very least, we should try to learn the div element. Div is the most general element. That's just a container for anything. So this is hello, so you can practice it like that. So imagine I have a to-do list, right? And then each of these is an item. So I'm going to learn how to do just div like this, and then for example, first item, second item. So div alone is good enough for no need BR. It's for displaying information one line at a time, and you can now start making it look pretty like this. This is an element inside. This is a children. This is the second children, but there's not just text, it's the text with a note. Okay? But then that's div. It's a bit boring, so we use something that is called a list. And LI, that's what it is. Stand for list. UL stand for unordered list. With confidence that, even though this sounds like, Spanish or any foreign language to you, but it's very easy for you to start testing out, right? It's HTML is not a programming language. It's a markup language. So it's a lot simpler. It's all open and closed. Except some elements like BR, you don't have a close, right? Alright, so you see how we can display a list like this? Obviously, actually this is wrong now. Inside UL, you should not have any other type of text. So just inside UL, you have LI and that's it, right? Now there's another type. It's OL, which is ordered list, then you can see the number. So this is what, if you use Quip, you see that they use this text format. So you see how my Quip is here? It's all UL, and OL there. Okay. So this is UL, and this is OL. Okay. So I'm going to try to do the same thing for my items. Yeah. So I'm doing something like this. Instead of joining, I'm going to be very clear. I am going to return some HTML to my get. Right? So obviously you can be like, this is hello world, but no, my HTML is smarter than that. In my list, I have the lines. One more time, because I have attribute reader lines, and I split the lines from the file. So in each line, there's no shame in using each. Right? Don't try to use map for these things and then make it hard for your friends to read. And then here, each line, what are you going to do? Technically, I'm going to start by saying, well, I start my code with UL, and I will close my code with UL. That's a string. Along the way, instead of the put statement, no more puts to string, you have to save it to my string, right? And then so I can print it out. So this is now, let's say I can do li plus line plus, right? That looks pretty clear to me. So then when you rerun this, you will get something very similar to what we're doing over here, except it's the UI stuff, right? And then I rerun. You see all the bullets? And if you click here, you can view source. UI, LI, 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 it's like that. Now, we don't want everything to be shown like this. This front part is a bit ridiculous. So very quickly, I can start implementing the item stuff. Imagine you can implement item, and when you take an item, you take in a line, and then you only take the text from, we all used to this now, you take the text from learn numbers, the 6 characters to the end, and then you check whether that an item is done with the X. Okay, so that's what I will have you do in this lab. Your first milestone is to be able to use Sinatra in the simplest way possible, and try to change the text to something else, and make sure you can get it to change to your likings. The second task is to understand how to read the data from to-do file, and then you can print it out. Okay. Now here's an important thing to note. I don't like this block get to have so much logic. It is very difficult for me to test my code if it's all in here. So what I prefer to do is to move all of this, okay, into a method. I call this, let's say, display raw HTML, for example. If I call this method like that, then I have to go to list.rb, and I call that display. You can call it anything, okay? Display raw HTML, and then you paste the text that you just did there, right? Obviously, if you paste this, you have to make changes because you don't have at list anymore. But you inside list anyway, so you're gonna have lines. What is lines? It's a reader that you define at the top. So now you have this method called display raw HTML. Things still work the same way, okay? And then you can improve this method. And in the milestone, you improve to better method. For example, here's my idea. Do you see how this line seems a bit complicated? What if you ask the item to print that for you? You convert a line into an item, and then you convert that into HTML for you. And that's what I did here as display HTML. It's almost the same thing, except I take the line into an item, parse into an item. Remember the new from line method, and then do the dot display HTML. So it will give the same string as this guy. It's just the code is better. So I don't need this anymore. The code is better because I've now called display HTML. In list, this display HTML will also tell item to show display HTML. And in item, you need to type the word, type the string display HTML. Now you see that now I learned a little bit more HTML markup. So my display HTML in my item is getting more and more complicated. I still have the li, but I add the color. I don't just add the color. I learn another item called checkbox. Then you can start improving your item display HTML. So if I finish that, then this will look like the following. Bless you. It will look like this. So I have a checkbox, right? I have the checkbox, and with the checkbox, I know what's due and not done. So maybe I don't need the colors anymore, right? Maybe I don't need the dot here anymore. And you can start adding styles. You can change from li to div, or you can just add CSS, which what we also have to learn, which is to style that say, hey, don't display the dot. Don't display the dot, but it's okay that these guys are the bullets. Obviously, the last part is fast. The last part is I just show you the end result of the of lab 1. But I want you to think about this get that slash blah 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 here, and then we will start having a lot of fun because, for example, I can say, hey, here you can display only the done item, right? List dot, let's say, display done items, right? But in HTML, for example. But for now, I just display whatever, right? Done items show up here. And let me explain what this is. you see the slash, and you did not, you need a do here, and you did not know what the slash means. The slash means this slash. That's one slash. That's the root. So if you tap on this, it's still the same thing, but Sinatra get rid of the slash for you. But you do understand that this is a slash. It's like going to a folder, right? But now done, we just define that. And then you will be able to display all the done items. Okay? And then if you do anything else, Sinatra will just say, hey, I don't know this stuff. Why don't you define it yourself? And now you can see that, oh, Sinatra is really friendly. It gives me this code, to copy and paste, right? And then I can cancel and run it, and then this will run again. So Sinatra just helped me with a little bit of, hey man, this is how you get started. Okay, so tomorrow then we were like, okay, this is how we do it. Go here, we can see all the tasks. Go here, we can see the done task. Or maybe I can do like, add, like buy milk. Who knows? Then you can do that and then it will buy milk for you. Yes?
Question. When you go back to the BS room, let's see, list RB.
Yeah.
I think there's one there that we can look at. Okay, line number 13 and also line 15. The HTML and your quote unquote your shovel symbol, the back arrow. Okay. Those are closing HTMLs, right?
This one? This one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a closing tag for the, if I select this one, you can see the closing tag for this.
I understand for HTML that that's the closing symbol, but what does the two represent before that? The two back arrows.
Oh, this is a string push. It's similar to.
Okay, I got you.
It's a string push. It's similar to the push thing, but every time you create a string, you start doing this and it just update HTML itself. And because this line return the string, I don't need to type this one more time. But if you want, that's a very clear way to do it as well. Okay, it's the same, right? Line 15 already returns the new string. Try going to the terminal, IRB, and start typing. But this less and less an operator, and it just update the string.
Okay.
And notice how convenient it is if you have it in the list, because I don't have to go to the browser. I can just say require relative list, and I test it, right? List.new, and I say display HTML. And you can see that anything I've written there, you can copy this one out and then try it on the browser, on the try it editor too. So you don't have to do Sinatra too much if you don't like, but there are multiple ways to check. So here you can see that I add spaces here and there, but the code may look messy, but when we start reading into them, they don't look too bad, right? Okay. Thanks guys. See you tomorrow.